You are 10 years old. You don't speak French well. The other kids laugh at your accent every single day. You eat alone. You sleep in a cold room far from home on a continent that doesn't feel like yours yet. You have no friends, no allies, nothing. But here's the thing they don't know about you. In less than 20 years, those same countries that ignored you, France, Italy, Austria, Prussia, Egypt, will tremble when they hear your name. The men who laughed at you will beg for your mercy. And you won't just survive this world. You will reshape it. Right now, you're just a lonely kid with a book and a burning feeling you can't explain. You don't have a plan. You don't have power. You don't even have the right accent. But you have something far more dangerous than any of that. You have ambition, and it has no ceiling. This is your life, and it starts right now. The Outsider. You were born on August 15th, 1769 on a small Mediterranean island called Corsica, and the timing couldn't be stranger. Just 1 year before your birth, Corsica was sold, yes, sold, by the Republic of Genoa to the Kingdom of France. Your father, Carlo, had been fighting against that very takeover. But when France won, he made a calculated decision. He switched sides. He pledged loyalty to the new rulers, got the family recognized as minor nobility, and used that status to do one thing: secure a future for his children. That future for you means leaving home at 10 years old. In 1779, you board a ship to mainland France. You arrive at a military school in a small town called Brienne. And from day one, you are the outsider. Your French is broken. Your last name sounds Italian. The other boys, sons of wealthy French aristocrats, make sure you know you don't belong here. They mock your accent. They exclude you at every meal. You spend years eating alone, sleeping alone, walking alone. So you do the only thing you can. You read history, geography, mathematics. While other boys play, you study campaigns. Hannibal crossing the Alps, Caesar marching through Gaul, Alexander pushing east into Persia. You don't know why these stories grip you so hard. You just know they do. You absorb every battle, every strategy, every mistake those commanders made. Then, in 1785, everything changes at once. Your father dies of stomach cancer. You are 15 years old. The school had a 2-year final program. You now have to finish it in one. You push through exams, barely sleep, and graduate. Not brilliantly. You rank 42nd out of 58 students. Nobody is impressed. Nobody writes home about you. You are commissioned as a second lieutenant in an artillery regiment and sent to a quiet post in southern France. You are a nobody, a low-ranking officer with a foreign accent and no connections. And France, the country that doesn't quite feel like yours yet, is about to explode. You don't know it yet, but that explosion is your door. Fire and chaos. It's 1789. You are 20 years old, stationed in a garrison, reading reports about something erupting in Paris. The people are starving. The king is weak. The aristocracy has bled the country dry for decades. And then the Bastille falls. The French Revolution has begun. You watch it all from a distance at first. You go back to Corsica on leave, trying to figure out where you fit in this new world. You even try to become a leader on the island, aligning yourself with Corsican nationalists. But that falls apart fast. The nationalist leader, Pasquale Paoli, decides your family is too pro-French. His supporters ransack your home. You have to get your mother and your siblings out in the middle of the night. You flee Corsica forever. You are 23 years old. Your family has nothing, and the island you grew up calling home has just rejected you completely. But here's the strange gift in that moment. You are now fully French, not by choice, by necessity. And France right now desperately needs competent military officers because the revolution has just purged half of them. You rejoin your regiment in Nice, and then in late 1793, you get your moment. The city of Toulon, one of France's most important naval ports, has been handed over to the British by royalist rebels. The Republican army is trying to take it back and failing badly. You arrive, assess the situation in hours, and immediately see what nobody else sees. The key isn't the city. It's a specific hill overlooking the harbor. Take that hill, put artillery there, and the British ships have no choice but to retreat. Without the ships, the city falls on its own. The generals ignore you. You are 24 years old. What do you know? You insist. You argue. You draw the maps. You present the plan over and over until finally, out of frustration, they let you try. It works perfectly. Toulon falls in December 1793. The British fleet retreats. The city is back in Republican hands. And you, the nobody from Corsica, are promoted to Brigadier General overnight. You are 24 years old, and you just proved that your mind is worth more than any title anyone was born with. But the man who championed your promotion, Robespierre, is about to be arrested and guillotined, and because of your connection to him, you go down too. Briefly arrested, suspended, sitting in a room wondering if everything you just built is already over. It isn't. But your next move will require something you've never had to rely on before. Pure luck and perfect timing. The lover and the General Paris. 1795. You are free but sidelined, no command, half pay. Living in a city where ambition is everywhere and opportunity feels just out of reach. You almost get sent to command infantry in a war you don't want. You refuse, it feels wrong, you wait. Then October arrives. Royalist rebels, about 25 or 7 of them, march on the National Convention in Paris. The government is about to be overthrown. A politician named Paul Barras needs someone to defend the convention fast. He calls you. You don't hesitate. You send a young cavalry officer named Murat to seize every cannon in the city. You position them at key intersections. When the rebels arrive at the Church of Saint-Roch, you open fire, not with rifles, with grape shot, artillery rounds that scatter like a shotgun blast. The crowd breaks apart within minutes. The rebellion is over before it truly begins. In one afternoon, you save the French government, and the French government in return gives you the thing you've been waiting for, the command of the Army of Italy. But before you leave for Italy, something else happens. Barras introduces you to a woman. Her name is Joséphine de Beauharnais. She is a 32-year-old widow. She has 2 teenage children. She is charming, elegant, socially connected, everything you are not. You fall instantly, completely, almost embarrassingly in love with her. You write her letters every single day. Long, desperate, passionate letters begging for her affection. She likes you. She is not obsessed with you, not the way you are with her, but she agrees to marry you. You wed on March 9th, 1796. 2 days later, you leave for Italy. When you arrive, your own officers look at you sideways. You are 26 years old. You are thin. You have no battle experience commanding a full army. The Army of Italy is underfed, under-equipped, and demoralized. Your officers have been fighting for years. Who is this young general from Corsica supposed to be? You gather them on the first day, and you say something that cuts straight through the doubt. You tell them you are about to lead them into the most fertile plains in the world. That glory and riches are waiting on the other side of those mountains. That history will remember what they do next. Then you prove it. In less than a year, you outmaneuver and defeat the Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. Then Austria. You win battle after battle. Montenotte, Lodi, Arcole, Rivoli, using speed and deception that European armies have never seen before. You move faster than anyone thinks possible. You strike before the enemy can react. You force them to fight on your terms, never theirs. By 1797, you have conquered northern Italy. You have personally negotiated the Treaty of Campo Formio with Austria without waiting for orders from Paris. You are sending millions of francs in looted artwork and gold back to France. You are not just a general anymore, you are a phenomenon. And Paris is watching you very, very carefully. The Pharaohs gamble. You know what the Directory, the 5 men running France, is thinking. You are too popular, too powerful, too dangerous to have sitting in Paris with nothing to do. And you know that if you stay in France without a campaign, that popularity fades fast. So you propose something that sounds almost insane. Egypt. Your idea is to cut Britain off from its trade routes to India by seizing Egypt. It would weaken British power, expand French influence into North Africa, and, most importantly, keep you far enough from Paris that nobody feels threatened. The Directory agrees immediately. They want you gone. In May 1798, you sail with 400 ships and 35 soldiers. The expedition is so secret that your own troops don't know the destination until they're already at sea. You also bring something unusual for a military campaign. 167 scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and artists. You're going to conquer Egypt and study it at the same time. You win the Battle of the Pyramids on July 21st, 1798. You destroy the ruling Mamluk cavalry in under 2 hours. Egypt is yours. Then 3 weeks later, the British Admiral Horatio Nelson finds your fleet anchored in Aboukir Bay, and in a single night battle, he destroys it almost completely. You are now stranded in Egypt with no way home and no resupply. While you are stuck in the desert, a letter reaches you from Paris. Josephine has been having an affair, publicly. Everyone in Paris knows except you. You are devastated in a way that goes beyond a marriage. You had written her hundreds of letters from the field. She had barely written back. And now this. You never quite loved the same way again after that letter. You push forward anyway. You march into Syria. You besiege the city of Acre. You fail to take it. Disease rips through your army. You retreat back to Egypt. You win a defensive battle against an Ottoman force at Aboukir. But the situation is hopeless, and you know it. Then news arrives from France. The Directory is collapsing. Austria and Russia are pushing back. The country is in crisis. And you make a decision that shocks everyone around you. You abandon your army. You board a ship in secret, slip past the British blockade, and sail back to France, leaving your men behind in Egypt under another general's command. It takes you 6 weeks to reach Paris. When you arrive in October 1799, you are not arrested for abandoning your post. You are celebrated as a hero, returning from an exotic campaign. The newspapers have been printing your victories and burying your defeats. The French public believes you are undefeated. You have 30 days. 30 days to turn that public image into something permanent. On November 9th, 1799, 18 Brumaire in the Republican calendar, you walk into the legislative chambers with your brother Lucien and a group of loyal soldiers. You dissolve the directory. You replace it with a consulate, 3 consuls on paper. But everyone knows which one holds all the power. You are 30 years old, and you are now the ruler of France. But power, you are about to discover, is just the beginning of what you want. Emperor of everything. The France you inherit is broken. 15 years of revolution have left the economy shattered, the church dismantled, the legal system a mess of contradictory regional laws, and the schools in ruins. You spend the first years of your rule not fighting wars, but building a country. You create the Banque de France to stabilize the economy. You negotiate the Concordat of 1801 with the Pope, bringing the Catholic Church back into French life without handing it back any real political power. You build lycées, public secondary schools, across the country so that education is no longer only for the rich. And you commission the project that will outlive everything else you ever do. The Napoleonic Code, a unified legal system for all of France. It establishes equality before the law. It ends the old feudal privileges of the nobility. It guarantees property rights, freedom of religion, and the principle that government jobs go to the qualified, not the well-connected. Today, more than 70 countries, including most of Latin America and large parts of Europe, still base their civil law on the code you write in these years. In 1802, France votes to make you consul for life. 3.5 million votes yes, 8,000 vote no. And in 1804, you go further. On December the 2nd, inside Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris, surrounded by every dignitary in Europe, you are crowned Emperor of the French. The Pope himself has traveled to Paris for the ceremony. And in the most watched moment of the entire event, you take the crown from his hands and you place it on your own head. No one gives you this. You take it, just like you have taken everything else. What follows is 5 years of military dominance that Europe has never seen. At Austerlitz, in December 1805, widely considered your greatest tactical masterpiece, you defeat the combined armies of Austria and Russia in under 9 hours. You deliberately weaken your own right flank to lure the enemy away from the high ground, then strike through the center and split their entire army in 2. It is a trap, perfectly executed. At Jena in 1806, you destroy the Prussian army so completely that Frederick the Great's sword is sent to Paris as a trophy. You march into Berlin. At Tilsit in 1807, you meet Tsar Alexander of Russia on a raft in the middle of a river, and the two of you divide Europe between you like a dinner table conversation. You are 37 years old. You control more of Europe than anyone since Charlemagne. Your brothers sit on the thrones of Spain, Holland, and Westphalia. Your name is law from the Atlantic coast to the borders of Russia. The world was yours. But somewhere in those years at the very top, 3 decisions are quietly building the avalanche that will bury everything. The 3 mistakes. The first mistake is Spain. In 1808, you force the Spanish king to abdicate and place your brother Joseph on the throne. Your logic is clean. Spain will follow French laws, modernize, and close its ports to Britain. Simple, except the Spanish people want absolutely none of it. They don't rise up in organized armies you can defeat in a single battle. They melt into the countryside. They attack supply lines, ambush patrols, disappear into villages. This is guerrilla warfare, and it is something your military genius has no perfect answer for. For the next 6 years, Spain bleeds your army slowly. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers tied down in a war with no front line and no decisive battle to win. It never stops draining you. The second mistake is Russia. Tsar Alexander has been quietly breaking the trade embargo against Britain. You cannot allow it. Your entire strategy for defeating Britain depends on cutting off its commerce. So, in 1812, you assemble the largest army in European history. 600,000 men from across your empire march east. You expect a short campaign. You expect the Russians to stand and fight. They don't. They retreat. They burn their own crops, their own villages, their own city of Smolensk, leaving you nothing to feed your army and no enemy to decisively defeat. You march 600 miles into Russia, chasing a battle that never comes on your terms. You reach Moscow in September, and you find it on fire. The Russians burn their own capital rather than let you have it. You sit in the ruins for 5 weeks, waiting for Alexander to negotiate. He never does. Then the Russian winter arrives. The retreat from Moscow is not a military defeat. It is something worse. It is a collapse. Soldiers freeze to death in their sleep. Horses die by the thousands. Men who survived a decade of European warfare fall in the snow from exhaustion and cold. You leave Russia with fewer than 100 soldiers of the 600 hostile men you brought. The myth of your invincibility, the thing that had won half your battles before a shot was fired, is gone. The third mistake is refusing peace. After Russia, Austria, Prussia, Russia, and Britain form the sixth coalition against you. They offer you terms in 1813. France keeps its natural borders, the Rhine, the Alps, the Pyrenees, a generous peace given the circumstances. You refuse. You believe you can still win. At Leipzig in October 1813, in a battle that lasts 4 days and involves over 500,000 soldiers, the largest battle in history before World War I, you lose. Your army is shattered. You retreat into France. In 1814, they march into Paris itself. Your generals tell you it is over. You abdicate. You are exiled to the island of Elba, off the coast of Italy. You are given a tiny army to command, a small court to maintain the appearance of dignity, and a pension. The man who once ruled Europe is now the ruler of an island 12 miles wide. But those who exiled you make one enormous miscalculation. They think you are finished. Waterloo and the weight of a name. You spend 10 months on Elba watching Europe's new rulers make a mess of the peace. The Congress of Vienna is redrawing borders without considering the populations living inside them. French soldiers who served under you are being humiliated by a restored monarchy that treats their sacrifices as embarrassments. And your pension, the one promised in the abdication agreement, has stopped being paid. On February 26, 1815, you escape Elba with 700 soldiers, 7 cannons, and no clear plan, except the one that has always worked for you. Forward. You land in southern France and begin marching north toward Paris. The king sends troops to stop you. When you reach the first regiment blocking your road, you walk out ahead of your tiny escort, alone, and open your coat. You tell them, if any of you wants to shoot your emperor, here I am. Nobody fires. They join you. Regiment by regiment, the army of France flips. 19 days after landing, you enter Paris. Louis XVIII has already fled. You are emperor again without a single battle fought. The European powers respond immediately. They declare you an outlaw and mobilize their armies. You have perhaps 200,000 soldiers, They have over 700,000 converging from every direction. You know you cannot survive a long war. Your only chance is to strike fast, split the Allied armies before they can concentrate, and force a negotiated peace. On June 16, 1815, you strike the Prussian army at Ligny and win. It is your last victory. 2 days later, on June 18th, you face the British army under Wellington on a ridge outside a small Belgian town called Waterloo. What happens that day is debated by historians to this day. Your health is poor, stomach problems, possibly hemorrhoids. Almost certainly, exhaustion have slowed you down. You delay your attack by several hours in the morning to let the wet ground dry, a decision that gives the Prussians time to recover and march to Wellington's aid. Your commanders make costly errors. A critical attack on the fortified farmhouse of Hougoumont gets drawn into a grinding fight that swallows thousands of your best troops for nothing. And when your Imperial Guard, the undefeated elite of your entire army, marches up the ridge in the late afternoon and is repulsed for the first time in their history, the French army doesn't retreat. It breaks. 4 days later, you abdicate for the second time. The Allies are taking no chances now. No comfortable island close to Europe this time. They send you to St. Helena, a volcanic rock in the middle of the South Atlantic, 200 miles from the nearest coastline. It takes 3 months to sail there. There is no escape from St. Helena. You spend 6 years there. You wake up late, dictate your memoirs, read, argue with your British jailer, and carefully construct the version of yourself you want history to remember. You call yourself the champion of the revolution, the liberator of peoples, the man brought down not by his own mistakes, but by the jealousy of kings. Some of it is true, some of it is mythology, all of it is deliberate. In the spring of 1821, your body begins to fail. Stomach cancer, the same disease that killed your father. On May 5th, 1821, you die on that island at the age of 51. Your last recorded words are about war, about France, and about Josephine. You are buried on St. Helena in a plain tomb. But 19 years later, France brings your body home. Your coffin is carried through Paris as hundreds of thousands line the streets in the snow. You are placed in a magnificent tomb beneath the golden dome of Les Invalides, where you still rest today. And here is what nobody can take from you. The Napoleonic Code still shapes the legal systems of more than 70 countries. The metric system you standardized is used by almost the entire world. The concept of merit over birth, that a man should rise based on what he can do, not who his father was, is something you didn't invent, but you proved it at a scale no one had ever attempted. You started as a 10-year-old boy eating alone in a school that didn't want you. You died as the most studied military commander in human history. Every major military academy in the world still teaches your campaigns, not as cautionary tales, as masterclasses. The world didn't stay yours forever, but for one extraordinary moment in time, it was. And you built it with nothing but ambition, speed, and the absolute refusal to accept the place the world had assigned you at birth. That was your life, and there will never be another one like it.